What's up, guys? ClutchFan37 bringing you the Under Armour Command Low lacrosse head review. Before we dive into it, let's just get a little background information. The Command Low is Under Armour's newest head to come out. It comes out, I think, what's the day? I think it comes out tomorrow or today, depending on when you watch the video, 8th or the 9th of March, I don't know. But Under Armour is now the third manufacturer to implement lacrosse heads with different bottom rail placements to give you a very specific pocket area. True Lacrosse was the first one. They have the True Speed, True Frequency, and Universal, or something of that effect. I'm not sure. I've never gotten my hands on one or even really seen one. String King was the second company that came up with the Mark II V, Mark II A, and Mark II D. Those all, obviously, if you don't know anything, Mark II D is made for defense, so it has a higher placement. Mark II V is versatility, so mid-attack or defense, just has a mid-pocket placement. The Mark IIA is geared for attackmen who like a low pocket. Just getting the actual head itself, when I first heard about the Command Low being a lacrosse head and coming out soon, my first thought was that it would be the classic Command lacrosse head shape. Same pinch, same sidewall design, just a lower rail placement, and where they would get rid of this part where it kind of juts out and starts the rail placement. But Under Armour took a completely different approach to that, and they changed the head almost completely. So I don't necessarily think that I agree with the name Command Low. I think they could have named it something else. But regardless, we'll get in the review. So things that are very similar with the Command are the stringing hole options at the top all the way down towards the bottom. You've got the 3 triangular holes, which is great to start your top string and your first tie on, because you can get 2 or 3 strings through there depending on what sidewall string you use. The back of the scoop, they still have that speed area on both sides. And my favorite part about the Command is the Command Low now is that the 4 main top holes that you would use to string a top string, which are these 2 middle ones and the 2 outer ones, they still cut them in on the inside and have the top part kind of raised out, which is going to protect your top string a lot, which I think is awesome. Obviously, a top string is usually what wears out in lacrosse at the fastest, but Under Armour with the Command and the Command Low have changed that, and it protects your top string. So I really like that they kept that with the Command Low. The actual sidewalls, obviously, like I said, you got the top 3 that are the same, goes down in normal holes. The Command had these 3 at the very bottom that are very bunched up, which I really liked. Gave you a bit of versatility to where you want to place your bottom string. Made it easy to get a high pocket, mid pocket, or low pocket. The Command Low, instead, what they did is they took out the 3 bunched up right here and just added a very bottom one. Very low in the head, which I think is great for a lower pocket. You've got the bottom holes, which are relatively the same in both of them. Great for leathers and any bottom string. Just 4 of them, so nothing too crazy. Just getting the actual head itself and the comparison. As you can see, this is a prototype one, but this is the very last prototype before it went into production. The only things they're going to change on this is obviously they're going to have the Under Armour jewel here, which I think is really cool. They're also going to have the texture on the back, as well as here in those 4 holes, just like the Command does. Sidewall strut design is very different. I figured they would keep it the same, but they just went very simple and very generic, which I like a lot. Basically what they did was they took out this middle one, and they took these 2 bottom ones, raised them up some, and made them longer. So it's going to be stiffer here in the bottom part of the head, which is ideally where your pocket's going to be, considering the name, the Command Low. Face shape, I don't really like the face shape for my personal preference. It's very triangular, it's very flat at the top, and it doesn't have any aggressive pinch to it until you get right about here. So it's just kind of generically just kind of goes in towards the head, and then from here down is very tight, obviously making it very good for a low pocket. Me personally, I like the Command a bit more just because it is more pinched throughout the head, almost like a CO or Mirage, which I just think is better for me as a player. Getting the actual Command Low, I think they did a phenomenal job of shape of the bottom rail, where they placed all the holes, and just the stiffness of the head overall. It is about 0.4 ounces lighter than the Command, so it's a fairly light head. It's right in there about the 4.8 or 4.9 ounces, which is up there with the Optic, Mirage, CEO, Lakota. So it's a very light head. Because of the shape, I would definitely only recommend this for a feeder, a finisher, or a dodger, just because it's very wide at the top, which is going to be great for ground balls and catching in close, but it's also nice and pinched down low to where your pocket's really going to sit in the lower part of the head, which is great for one-handed cradling, even having no whip in your stick and getting passes out. So I'll be pretty sure I'll see a couple of ex-attackmen or finishers on the college field using this as time goes on. So not sure exactly how much the head will come out to be. I want to say $89.99, just like the Command. And just like your typical lacrosse head out there, these come out in a couple of days. I definitely would recommend checking one out and picking one up if you like a lower pocket or even a mid to mid-low shifty pocket. Traditional users, I would highly recommend getting this head if you're looking for something new. You can definitely put a traditional in here and it just has a very nice shape to it. So getting to the actual face shape itself, I told you why I don't like it. I like a more pinch head and a beefier head that's going to be very strong and stiff. This head is a bit more flexible and it has that very triangular and wide shape. Just not my slice of cake, but definitely awesome. I wish they would have renamed it something else as opposed to Command Low, because although it has some similarities with the Command, it's still a very different head. The throat itself, they don't have any cutouts as where the Command does. It's also a bit thinner, but on the sides, I mean, they kept it pretty much the same. One screw hole in the back, which is pretty cool. You see a lot of companies that are moving towards the 2 screw holes, which I like and I don't. I just think it's more room for braking. But the Command Low itself, I would highly recommend checking one out and maybe even picking one up if you are into a mid to mid-low pocket. If you're a finisher or if you're a person who doesn't like a whole lot of whip, because of the shape of the head itself, it's just going to feel very natural to have a low pocket. As you can see right here, this is where the head kind of indents in. So ideally your pocket's going to be anywhere from here lower. I might be using one of these for box because you can pinch it very nicely. Pretty cool. Another thing that I'm not sure I really like is I wish they would have had another sidewall strut up here, or maybe move this one in a different angle to where the top part would be a bit stiffer. As you can see, there's just a huge gap right here. So the more you play with it, the sidewalls may have been in that way since there's nothing to stop it, or it just may pinch up at the top, but that may be your thing. So Command Low comes out later this week. I would highly recommend going to a Lacrosse Unlimited or a Monkey Sports or wherever you live, if they have any, and checking it out. I think it's a unique offering, and I think it's going to be one of the better heads of this year. I think you'll see a lot of players from Loyola, Yale, Maryland, and Notre Dame using it, especially those ex-attackmen, maybe Mikey Wynn, just anyone who's more of a feeder as opposed to a shooter. So that's my review of the Command Low. You can see comparison sidewall design, they're very different. Face shape, they're very different. You can almost fit most of the Command in the Command Low. So it's a wider head, but it's still going to be very good. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoy. Let me know in the comments if you guys have tried the Command Low or what's your thoughts on it. I'm just going to keep sticking with the Command.